there's an article that is patrolling the internet, and a sentiment that is going throughout the United States and other countries, European countries, you know. And, that's the sentiment, aired by Joe Biden, President of the United States, that the pandemic is in the past. It's over. It's done. Take your mask off, everybody. The pandemic is done. Well, I'm a realist. I state facts and reality. The fact is, 85-ish percentage, I think it's 83 actually, 83% of Americans are anti-vaxxers. That's a fact. That's a real number. That's a statistic. If that troubles you, well, it should. It troubled me. I'm still grappling with the outcome here. But 83% of Americans are anti-vaxxers. How did this happen? How did we get here? Where 83% of Americans are refusing a free vaccine. Now, the vaccine, obviously, is not the only thing in the toolbox. We also have masks. And yet, no one in this country wears masks. Why? Well, Joe Biden told everyone not to. 4 months ago? And people are fucking stupid, right? So, but also, we have to understand just how dumb Americans are. Americans, and I'm not talking about just conservatives, I mean all Americans, are fucking stupid. They're stupid, dumb fuck faces. I need you to really understand this. Okay? I need you to, I don't know how many people hear what I say and then hear it, but without thinking. I really need you to understand just how stupid most Americans are. 83% of Americans have become anti-vaxxers. How did that happen? Because anti-vaxxers have spent the last 3 years with endless propaganda spewing out of their mouths, and there's no response. People in hospitals, they don't go viral. People in, epidemiologists, virologists, international communities, they don't go viral. The CDC has covered up data on the pandemic. We saw that the CDC tried their best to cover up information on this new variant, XBB.1.5. They covered it up for 2 months while it destroyed the whole country during holiday season. Now we're seeing peak hospitalizations and so forth. Why? Because the CDC covered it up. So there's no response to anti-vax propaganda. Joe Biden himself is going out there saying masks are useless, take them off. So when you have a Democratic administration, now I've said this before, Trump is better on COVID than Biden. But why is that? Trump convinced one cohort of Americans to be anti-science, anti-vaccine, anti-mask freaks, right? There are 3 cohorts: conservatives, liberals, and everyone else, okay? Joe Biden managed to get the other 2 cohorts on board with the same agenda. Donald Trump's agenda was let's have them kill each other as much as possible and pretend that science isn't real. Joe Biden said, well, good start, but I got the other 2 groups. So now we have everyone in the country is insane. 83% of the country are anti-vaxxers. No one wears a mask. And millions of people are dead. A little fucked up. If you ask me, it's a little fucked up. It's a little weird. So, it's a new year, everybody. 2023. Is this the year that Americans get their shit together? What do you think? Are Americans going to take COVID seriously this year? I don't know. Anyway, let's read this from The Guardian. People aren't taking this seriously. Experts say U.S. COVID surge is a big risk. In the 4th year of the pandemic, COVID-19 is once again spreading across America and being driven by the recent holidays. I told you all 3-4 months ago. I said, I remember I made this like 40-minute video. Thanksgiving is going to kill thousands of Americans. And I got a bunch of uppity freaks going like, oh, you're so antisocial. Why don't you go hang out with your family? The pandemic's over. Thousands of dead motherfuckers later. I can only hope that the people that left me comments on my YouTube video are among them. But that's just my own personal prayer. And I don't believe in God, so I don't know if my prayers are going to get answered. But new subvariants are causing concern for the increased transmissibility and ability to evade antibodies. But the same tools continue to curtail the spread of COVID, especially bivalent boosters, masks, ventilation, antivirals, and other precautions. So now again, imagine you have a leak in your plumbing, right? And now imagine you see like a drip coming from the ceiling, right? And you know, first you see a wet spot in the ceiling and then it starts to drip through onto the floor. Now, what would you do in this scenario? Let's imagine that someone that lives in the house is a plumber. And they have all the tools, knowledge, and whatever necessary to fix the issue. Now, wouldn't it make sense to fix the plumbing issue as soon as you can? Right? Like, wouldn't that make sense? Well, if you're an American, you don't. You look at the problem every day and you go like, not even, I'll fix it later, just, That's Americans on COVID. There's a giant problem in this country, and Americans look at it and go, I want to go to a restaurant. I want to go to a movie. I want to go to a concert. I don't care about COVID. I can't breathe with my mask on. You ever meet these dumbass fucking morons? I can't breathe with my mask on. Talk about the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever met in my life. I can't breathe with my mask on, so I'm gonna get COVID. Yeah, they're dead now, by the way. But anyway. I mean, I'm just saying, Americans, we have the tools. We can wear masks and live our lives normally, whatever that fucking means. If we did masks and vaccinations, we would be fine. The vaccine is free. Free healthcare for the first time in my life. The U.S. government has given everybody equal access to free healthcare. It's free. 83% of the country says, fuck that shit, I'm an anti-vaxxer. I read something on QAnon whatever the fuck that said that vaccines are bad. So 83% of the country. Masks. Right? The government should give everyone masks, absolutely. But, you know those people that go like, oh, I can't afford masks. Really? I mean, unless everything in your wardrobe is a hand-me-down and you haven't bought new clothes in multiple years, I'm going to say you probably can afford, if you can afford a new t-shirt, you can afford a box of masks. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. So, Americans are lazy, dumb, shit for brains morons. I'm just saying. They're dumb Americans. 83% minimum are dumb, lazy, selfish morons, and they're going to get everyone else killed. Now, I consider myself a left-winger. I consider myself to be someone that participates in left-wing spaces. You would think left-wingers would take this opportunity. You would think Medicare for All supporters would take this opportunity to scream at the rooftops, there's free healthcare for everyone. Just go to the fucking shit and make an appointment. Do you see DSA talking about this? Nah. Do you see Democratic politicians doing big vaccination drives? Nah. Do you see podcasts that are big in left-wing media talk about COVID and telling people how to get vaccinated? Not really. Because left-wingers don't care. They gave up. You know, when I talk about COVID, there's a giant cohort of my audience. I call them the dumb motherfuckers that tell me, yeah, we get it. We get it. I already know. Do you? Do you? When I make COVID videos, they're unpopular. I don't get paid to make COVID videos. I lose money by making COVID videos. And so if I'm someone that cares about that shit, I'm never going to make COVID videos. And so that's why you don't see big podcasts talk about COVID. They don't care. They don't care. Why? Because they're not making money. And whenever they do it, they alienate their stupid fucking audience, which they then can't monetize further. So, hey, I guess we'll just avoid the issue. The elephant in the room. 83% of Americans are anti-vaxxers. I mean, if you would have told me when the vaccine came out originally 2 years ago that we would turn into a country where 83% of us refuse the vaccine, I would have been like, no fucking way, man. That's too crazy. How would that happen? But here we are. 83% of the country is avoiding free vaccination. And they're not wearing masks because they don't care, because they're fucking stupid. Now I know the government. Oh, the government should be doing this. It's the government's fault. Yeah. But two things can be true at once. We can walk and chew gum, motherfucker. The government sucks. And anybody who doesn't know that is a stupid fucking moron. I'm sorry. If you have lived your life in this country, I don't even know, like, for at least 3 years. If you are at the minimum of 3 years old and you have faith in the government, I mean, come on. No, I mean, seriously though, right? Like, come on. Does anyone actually think, oh yeah, I'm gonna put my faith that the government will tell me when to do this? Now, again, when the CDC does recommendations, people don't listen to them anyway. But like, seriously, anybody that thinks, oh, it's the government's fault, and, you know, people are just, they just don't know, they're dumb. I'm sorry. Anyone that's trying to tell you that it's just the government's fault is an idiot. Because somebody that thinks that the government would tell them when something is a problem and will do nothing in the interim period, I'm sorry, but Charles Darwin had a theory about these people. And maybe, I don't know, just maybe, if you're too dumb to put a mask on in a pandemic, just maybe, I don't give a fuck if you die. In fact, maybe even further, I can't wait. Because the sooner, the better. You will raise no dumb kids, and you'll be out of the population, gone forever, and everyone else will be better. But do we really just have to wait for 83% of Americans to die off? I mean, that's a huge number. I mean, like, we're talking like, this is like some Alex Jones Great Reset shit. I don't know. Are we going to be able to weather the storm? Think of it like we're playing Fallout. You ever play Fallout? My favorite's Fallout 3. But, you know, to each their own. You know, imagine we're playing Fallout and we're hanging out in the vault. That's how I view America today. I'm hanging out. I'm playing video games, I'm petting my dog, and I'm cooking my own meals at home. Why? Because I'm waiting for the nuclear radiation to go away. And In this instance, the nuclear radiation, the nuclear holocaust, is dumb shit for brains anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers, which is not just the Republicans, but it's Republicans, Democrats, liberals, leftists, communists, anarchists, every political group, a supermajority of every political group is insane at this point, demonstrably. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I say fuck them. I say the sooner the better. But I know it'll take a long time for these groups to die off. I say our population will be a lot better when they do, though. Booster uptake has been pitiful, said Neil Segal, an assistant professor of health policy. Now, again, 83% of Americans have refused the vaccine now that's been out for 4 months. They've refused it. 83% of Americans saw free, life-saving medical care and said, no thanks, I'll take my chances. Oh, you're saying it's free? Don't want it. 83% of Americans. That's not pitiful. I mean, pitiful, I mean, that's good language, right? But it's not strong enough. You know what I mean? It's not fucking strong enough. I say it's disgusting. Antiviral uptake has been low, and few mandates on masking, vaccination, and testing have resumed in the face of the winter surge, which is once again putting pressure on health systems. New COVID hospital admissions are now at the 4th highest rate of the pandemic, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, again, the CDC has covered up, we know for a fact, the smoking gun, everybody. We caught them. The CDC covered up the rise of XBB.1.5. Now, you're not going to see that in mainstream media because mainstream media, even COVID alarmist mainstream media, is afraid to say that. I don't know why. But the CDC covered up information on XBB.1.5 for several months, waited until after the holiday season to make it public, after it was already too late for any prevention. So, with that note, I don't trust any CDC data. And when I say that, I mean, I think all CDC data is a heavy undercount. Now, a lot of people on the anti-vax side, they think, oh, no one's ever died, blah, 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 because they're fucking stupid. But the CDC data can only be an undercount. The idea that the CDC data could be an overcount is ludicrous garbage. It could only be an undercount. People get tested and they don't report that test, for example. Some states like Florida don't even really report COVID deaths. Oklahoma, they don't really do it. Nebraska, they don't really do it. The CDC has no mandate for any data collection. So everything that they have published is an undercount. So if the CDC says we're in the 4th highest rate of the pandemic, I say, what the fuck does that even mean? Because the way we count these things has changed. And so can you really compare something now versus 2 years ago when the way we accumulated these numbers is completely different and the formulas are completely different? I don't think so. So I say there's no way to know how bad it is, and there's no way to know how bad it will get. And that's why you need to be careful. Hospitals are at maximum capacity, said Brendan Williams, a president and CEO of the New Hampshire Healthcare Association, of his region's current rates. Quote, I am not sure what the trajectory of this thing's going to be, but I'm worried. Across the pond in the UK, the NHS, National Healthcare System or Service, whatever it is nearly, at least according to a lot of doctors and people that work there, nearly in ruins. A lot of people fear that the NHS could collapse now. Oh, maybe. It's possible. Give it another couple years. Definitely. I'm going to read this one too. COVID hospitalizations declined somewhat after the summer wave, but never dropped to the low levels seen after the previous spikes, persisting through the fall and rising again with winter holidays. That's another important bit. When you factor in that everything that the CDC is reporting is undercounted, and you still have higher lows, that's a problem. That's a problem. The majority of COVID hospitalizations are among those 65 and older, although the share for children under 4 roughly doubled in 2022. But I thought kids were immune. Right? That's what anti-vaxxers have been telling you. The kids are immune. Well, now we know that the kids are actually the breeding ground of COVID. Kids get shuffled into schools every day, and they all share their variants like Pokemon cards at lunchtime. And now we know that the XBB.1.5 super variant came out of the northeastern United States and densely populated cold and school time. Right? And we know that XBB.1.5 has shared mutations with different variants, which means they commingled with all kinds of variants and essentially did the fusion dance from Dragon Ball and made the super variant that has the best mutations from each kind of strain. So, hey, if the kids are dying, are the adults going to step up? Well, when you factor in that every adult in this country is mentally approximately the same age as a toddler, I don't think the parents are going to do anything. I think the parents are going to make everything worse. This is one of the greatest surges of COVID cases in the entire pandemic, according to wastewater analyses of the virus. Now, isn't it interesting that wastewater analyses of the virus show a different story than the CDC analyses? Because you can't really cover up wastewater. I mean, you can, but it's a lot more difficult. It's much lower than the peak in January 22, but similar to the summer 22 surge, which was the second biggest. And it's not done yet. Certainly it does not appear that we are peaking yet, Segal said. Oh yeah. You think we're peaking now? We're just 2 weeks after the holidays, my friends. It's over. It's over. Now again, how long is it going to take for this country to fall into ruins? Might take another 10 to 15 years, 20 if we're lucky. Or unlucky, depending on your perspective. But when you have 83% of a population that's dumber than a dead snail on the side of the sidewalk, that's been cooking in the sun for 3 straight days, while raccoons have been picking at its corpse, when 83% of the population is dumber than whatever the fuck I just said, the population is going to destroy the empire from within. You cannot have an empire like the United States with these kinds of reckless fucking morons. Now again, you want the empire's population to be dumb, but we have gone into the very unhelpful territory of dumb, where we're all killing each other for fun and entertainment. Like, I don't even know what to say. I really don't. Like, you want your population to be not smart enough to revolt and understand that you're scamming them. But you don't want them to be dumb enough to the point where they're indisposed and the government needs to pay their welfare checks all the time. And I think America, as an empire, as an oppressive force of destruction, I think they overplayed their hand. I think there was one too many cuts to the education infrastructure in this country. One too many stoic films that promote individualism. You know, one too many lies about our revolutionary forefathers. I think America overplayed the hand. And I think America will pay the consequence. When you have 83% of the country that is essentially no better than a 9/11 hijacker, but they don't even realize what they're doing, they're so fucking stupid. They don't even realize the destruction that they're fucking having on the country. I mean, my God, that's a dumpster fire. That is a perfect storm of destruction. It's like if you paid someone, here, have a gun, and go kill as many people as you can, like that Rampage minigame in Grand Theft Auto. But somehow, I don't know, they wore like some glasses that made it look like the gun was like just a water gun and everyone was super happy or something. Like, Americans are willing to kill each other and they don't even know what they're doing. That's how dumb they are. And at this point, 4 years into the pandemic, I'm sick and tired of this blame the government bullshit. The government's been our enemy since before this pandemic, and nothing has changed. I blame the people for being fucking stupid motherfuckers. Let's keep reading. Omicron subvariants BQ.1.1 and BQ.1, as well as the quickly expanding XBB.1.5, make up the majority of cases according to CDC estimates. The Northeast, where more than 80% of cases are estimated to be from XBB.1.5 subvariant, has the highest proportion of cases according to the wastewater data. Now again, the CDC's own self-reporting guidelines say that they need to publicize information on variants at 1%. They waited until the XBB.1.5 variant reached 40%. 40% before they did anything. Why? Because they wanted to wait until the holidays were over. They didn't want to cause panic during the holidays. No shit. Why? Because the CDC is a genocidal organization that wants to kill as many of us as possible, and we're walking right into the gas chamber, so to speak. So now in the Northeast, 80% of these cases are XBB.1.5. What would have happened if the CDC had reported this data earlier? Now again, do I think that anything would have been monumentally different? No, I don't, because Americans are fucking stupid. If the CDC reported this shit before the holidays, there wouldn't have been any panic. Why? Because Americans are fucking dumb. They don't care anyway, right? But the smoking gun of the CDC covering this up, I think, is something that cannot be ignored, because it is proof that the government is here to kill us. It is verifiable, factual, it is not open to interpretation, verifiable evidence that the government is here now and designed with its purpose to kill us as soon as possible. That's what we know. That's a fact, right? So anyone that disputes that fact, as far as I'm concerned, they're still having a very nice sleep. And I hope that they don't wake up for their own sake. But when the government is a force, the sole existence of the government is to kill us as quickly and efficiently as possible, but also legally. And the population is too dumb to do anything about it, too dumb to even know it's happening. What do? We do nothing. We do nothing. That's what we do. We sit back and watch the freak show. That's the best thing I can offer you. Because I got nothing else. I have no more ideas. I don't have any fucking ideas of how to get out of this. 83% of Americans are anti-vaxxers. How do you get out of that? You don't. You don't. It's over. Game, set, match. It's like when you knock down the first domino and then you're like, no, wait, go back. There is no going back. All the dominoes are going to fall. That's it. It's over. It's done. You can't stop it. It's already happening. So, the best thing I can say to everyone is enjoy the show. And if we make it out of this shit alive, anybody who's resisted getting COVID 99 times every year, you're going to be at a massive advantage. Think about it from this perspective. Think about it from a selfish perspective. Right? If 83% of the country are anti-vaxxers, a lot of them are going to get lifelong debilitating illnesses. And if you can prevent that from happening to yourself, that's an advantage. So, I don't know, man. Think about it. 10 years from now, everyone's got dementia, and you don't. Now, I don't know. Maybe that won't be an advantage. Maybe it'll be really depressing. But hey, I'd rather have my brain intact, and my heart intact, and my lungs intact, and watch the freak show than die slowly and painfully. That's my opinion. With XBB, there's significant transmission advantage that exposure is really risky. It's riskier now than it ever has been in terms of transmissibility. So I made the decision, by the way, that I'm not leaving the house at the minimum until April. I'm not going to the grocery store, switching to food delivery. Why? Well, one, because I can. I'm capable of doing so. Is it more expensive? Yeah. But you know what's more expensive than food delivery? Hospital bills. So I made that decision. I have the ability to do so. And of course, my ability to do so hinges on the fact that there are gig workers that are willing to kill themselves for my benefit. And, you know, God bless them. But I'm not, like, once I started reading about XBB, I'm done. I'm not going to the fucking grocery store, even with my mask on. One mistake, and it's dope when it's over. I mean, one mistake. I'm not doing that shit. Official case counts have been slower to rise because of the prevalence of at-home tests and because of a general reluctance to test at all, experts say. Of the tests that are reported, however, positivity rates have been very high, with about 1 in 6, 16% turning positive. So again, we don't have testing, we don't have cases, we don't have anything in this country. Why? Because we're too stupid. The American population is too fucking stupid. I don't know what to say. I really don't. Everyone and anyone that ignored COVID, I don't care how long you ignored it for, you're part of the problem. If we're going to blame the government for bad messaging, we should blame ourselves too. Hey, I go on my show, I proselytize on my show, I tell my family members, I do the best I can, given my very limited outreach. But you know what? I decided I'm not going to risk my life for strangers that would kill me in a heartbeat. Fuck them. Fuck them. I'm not going to go out of my way to help these people help themselves. When most Americans are fucking disgusting creatures to begin with. Yeah, maybe I sound like a little bit of a freak show myself. I don't know. But can you blame me living in this country? Being around these people, so-called, if you can even call them people? I don't care at all about my fellow American anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. I cared a lot a couple years ago. But at this point, I don't care at all. I don't give a shit about my fellow American because they don't give a shit about me. And if they don't give a shit about me, I'm not going to waste my time and energy helping them help themselves. If you don't want to listen, go fuck yourself. Anyone that wants to listen, feel free. But Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know what to tell you. 83% of the country are anti-vaxxers, man. I can't get over it. I mean, it makes sense, though, when you factor in that 95% of the country don't eat fruits or vegetables. You know, 83% of the country not taking life-saving vaccines. Hey, honestly now, it's all starting to make sense. I know, it all goes back to the fiber statistic. Every time I try to have one of these, like, grand Americans are dumb rant, it goes back to the fiber statistic. 95% of Americans are so fucking dumb that they don't know how to eat fruits or vegetables. That everything else falls into place once that makes sense to you. 83% of the country has refused the bivalent booster vaccine. How is that possible? Because Americans are fucking insane. They're insane. They're insane. And they're dumb. They're reckless. And again, the average American that falls under these categories is as horrible as the average 9/11 hijacker. And to be honest with you, my real opinion is that they're worse than the 9/11 hijackers. 9/11 was a walk in the park compared to this fucking shit that we're dealing with. So, hey, I'm just throwing that one out there. So, but I know that might trigger people more than just being as bad as the 9/11 hijacker. But I would say that around anyone who hasn't gotten the booster shot, anyone that doesn't wear a mask, I see them in the same way that America saw all Muslims or Sikhs as terrorists after 9/11. You know, I have that reactionary hatred of anybody that doesn't wear a mask and anyone that doesn't get vaccinated, anyone that doesn't care about this shit, anyone that flies on planes 20 times a year. I hate them as much as America hated anyone that's not a white person in 2001, you know, and still now, and still all the way up until now. So, I don't know what to tell y'all, but let's keep going. I mean, like, this article has some more nuggets in there that are really good. Boosters really do make a difference, he said. Who is he in this instance? Stuart Ray, professor of medicine, blah, blah, blah. The severe cases we are seeing are probably at least somewhat avoidable if folks make sure that they stay updated on vaccination, because that's still the safest way to gain immunity. Boosters, especially the updated bivalent boosters, are highly effective at reducing the risk of severe disease and death. Yet only 15.4% of Americans over the age of 5 have received the new boosters. Now, I've seen that it's closer to 16 or 17%. Or at least that's people that have appointments made or whatever. But again, if you have not gotten the bivalent booster shot, you are, to me, as trash as a 9/11 hijacker. I think you're garbage. You're a terrible person. And again, if your terrible actions, like, this is the thing with food. When 95% of Americans are too fucking stupid to eat fruits and vegetables, that really only affects them. I mean, you know, they have stunted brain development, so they're always like in a state of agitation. That affects others, right? And, you know, when they have to go into the hospital every year, you know, for cardiac arrest or whatever, that affects others. But I mean, really though, when you kill yourself because you're too dumb to eat fruits and vegetables, at least that is somewhat isolated to just your problem, right? At least. But with COVID, you're making that problem everyone's fucking problem when you don't want to take a vaccine. When 83% of the country are anti-vaxxers, we're fucked. We are fucked. The free, it's free. It's free. Okay? It's free. It's fucking free. And 83% of Americans have said, fuck that shit, I don't want it. They're anti-vaxxers. They're freaks. They're freaks. 83% of Americans are freaks. I don't know what to tell you. They're all trash. They're all shit on my shoes. The sooner that they, let's just say, disappear, the better. When the hospitals start having free beds again, because all the dumb fucks died off, I am going to have a better life. People that took this shit seriously are going to have a better life. All we have to do is stay in the fallout vault until the nuclear radiation is gone. And the nuclear radiation is 83% of this dumb fuck shit for brains population. So as soon as they all disappear, and now again, disappear doesn't mean they have to die. It means if they get their shit together and start wearing masks and start getting vaccinated, I'm in. I'm in. I want people to better themselves and to better each other. But if they refuse to do so, I'm not going to waste my time begging them to do so. I'm going to watch them kill themselves and each other, and I'm going to enjoy it. It's fucked. Look at this. 15% of the country has gotten the booster shot. That's insane. It's been out for 5 months. 5 months. It's been out for 5 months. 5 months. You're telling me you just couldn't find the time for in 5 months? You just couldn't make any sort of gap in the schedule for 5 months? I mean, hey, I know a lot of Americans struggle. I struggle. I have struggled a lot more in my life previously. But if I had a situation where I had 5 months and I had 0 minutes of free time, I would kill myself. So I don't believe that 4% of Americans somehow had 0 minutes of free time in their schedule for 5 fucking months. And that's the thing, is getting the vaccine is the minimum. Wearing a mask is the minimum. That's like bare fucking minimum. We should do more. We should do quarantines. We should do situations where only X amount of people are allowed in the store at a time. But, I mean, that's not even in the conversation. That's not even in the fucking conversation. You know what I mean? That's not even in the motherfucking conversation. The idea of actually... We're talking about masks and shots. The easiest fucking thing in the world. And Americans are fucking stupid. We're talking about things as easily and simple as putting pants on, and Americans are too fucking stupid. We're talking about something as easy as taking a multivitamin, and Americans are too fucking stupid. So, yeah, we should be having conversations about limited indoor gatherings, limited amounts of people inside grocery stores. We should be doing that. And the government should be helping us. And our boss should be giving us sick time. But if you are waiting on your boss, if you are waiting on Joe Biden, Rochelle Walensky to come and save you, you're going to be waiting a long time. And by that I mean you're going to die waiting. And by that I mean you're going to probably die very soon. We live in a fucked up nightmare world. It's a fucked up nightmare world. It's true. I'm not here to tell you that the world is fine. What I'm here to tell you is that you need to do certain things to participate in society. If you avoid getting boosted, it's not like you can just put the problem off and you'll be fine. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. It's a shitty fucking raw deal. But either we can lay down and let the deal fuck us in the face until we die, or we can do something about it and take care of ourselves in the meantime. So that's my thing. That's what I say. I think the majority of people who aren't masking today just don't know that they should. I think that this guy has a lot of optimism in the everyday person. I think the majority of Americans are selfish, suicidal train wrecks. And they don't give a fuck about anyone, including themselves. That's what I think. So anyway, you can keep reading this. It goes in a little bit about hospitals are overworked. The staff are overworked. Hospitals are packed in the Northeast. So have fun getting in a car crash and breaking your leg and then getting wheeled into the emergency room and then dying because some motherfuckers are taking up all the beds, you know. That's like a last, case scenario, but still. That's going to be something that's probably going to be happening more and more often in 5 or 6 years. Is the government going to fund people to go to medical school and become doctors and nurses? No. So are we going to rely on that to happen and hope that it does? I'm not. You can. You can pray that Joe Biden eventually takes it seriously. I know he won't, and so I'm going to act accordingly. So, I don't know, man. You can use excuses if you want. Oh, I need to make time. Oh, I don't want to get side effects. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But actions speak louder than words. I don't give a fuck what your excuse is. I don't give a fuck what your reason is. If you don't wear a mask and you don't get a vaccine, you're garbage. You're garbage. It's been nearly half a year. You're telling me you have no free time? 5 or 6 months, you have 0 minutes of free time? Really? Really? 0 minutes of free time? Yeah. Okay. Sure. Fine. People just don't care. And yeah, our government, again, is the enemy. The government are the bad guys. No shit. The government's the bad guy. Anyone that fucking thinks that this is a massive philosophical revelation, I have finally understood that the government is the bad guy. And then that's where you stop thinking about things. It's not the government. Well, I mean, it is. But that's not just the government. It's also the people in this country. Again, I feel like the dominoes were already fallen when this pandemic started. I think America, as the empire, made one too many cuts to education. One too many cuts to things like child abuse. Child protective services, I should say. We have a lot of kids that are being raised by fucking crazy motherfuckers. And then they're becoming crazy fucking motherfuckers. And then they're having kids. And then they're going to underfunded, shitty schools. Right? So I think America overplayed its hand in the goal of keeping Americans stupid. Because I feel that Americans are a little too stupid. And we're not going to make it out of this one. That's my opinion.